everyone, to the All Elite Wrestling Unrestricted Podcast, the official podcast of AEW. Happy New Year. It is officially 2025. Oh my God, where did the year go? We've got something fun today, but first off, this podcast is presented by Upper Deck. Collect your favorite wrestlers in 2024 Upper Deck AEW and start your trading card collection today. Unwrap autograph, memorabilia, or premium tech inserts. Visit upperdeck.com to learn more. And of course, we are kicking off 2025 with our favorite guest host. Boom!
Whoa!
Oh,
That's
look
right.
at that.
Oh, is that a segue or what?
That was
for
the
those
best segue.
For those listening, we got I kicked us off with the Nyla Rose trading card. Nyla Rose, who recently was on the podcast and one of our favorite co-hosts. Welcome. Hi.
Thank you. Hi. I'm very grateful to be back, mostly because I got some free Upper Deck cards.
Hey,
Look at
you also got
you.
a nice hat.
And a nice hat. I'm so psyched about this because, you know, my nerd side, I'm a bit of a collector. I love collecting things. A fun fact for the kids listening, my most useless and random collection, I used to collect tennis balls. I don't know why.
Whoa,
Well,
yeah. I'm sorry.
Wait, no. Wait. I got to give you a little bit more. Like I used to collect tennis balls. I had 2 trash bags full of tennis balls. I don't play tennis, have never played tennis. I just loved tennis balls for some reason when I was in high school. I had a pair of the tennis ball Vans. Look those up.
Nyla,
I had a pair of those.
Nyla, I have all the questions in the world.
Well, too bad. We got to move on, everybody.
No, we don't. Oh, okay. First off, because you said you had like bags of them. So like,
yes.
Are we talking like hefty bags?
We're talking the hefty 33-gallon kitchen trash bag tennis balls.
Did you just like go around just like picking them up?
Kind of. Like
could these have possibly belonged to somebody's dog and you were just like, no, I want these tennis balls?
Listen. You need to talk to 16-year-old Logic that like it's very likely they could have been someone's dogs or I could have ruined a lot of games of tennis. I don't know. But if I came across a tennis ball, that sucker was mine.
Have you ever thought about taking up tennis?
No.
No. All right.
All right. Fantastic. Well, I feel like collecting Upper Deck cards is a much better hobby and takes up significantly less space.
Oh, yeah.
Very much so. All right. So today we're going to be looking at cards and then just talking about some of our favorite moments and matches from 2024. I've spent the morning opening up lots of packs and going down memory lane. Will, you want to kick us off with something?
Sure. So I assume we're not going in any chronological order here, right?
We better not, based on the cards I pulled.
That's all right, because I have pulled quite a few. But one of the ones that I think was one of the shining matches of 2024 was contested in our triple main event at Double or Nothing 2024. And I'm going to pull my dear friend Willow Nightingale here. Because we saw Willow Nightingale defend unsuccessfully the TBS championship against Mercedes Moné, the reigning and defending TBS champion, in what I thought to date was one of the greatest women's matches to take place in AEW. It was, up until that point, really up until Full Gear, it was the longest women's match to ever take place in AEW. Aubrey, you reffed that match, correct?
Yes, I reffed both of those matches you just mentioned, actually.
So you have had the 2 longest women's matches in AEW history. By the way, the other one is also one of, spoilers, a discussion coming up here. But this one here, I thought, really set a new bar for what the women's division could present on pay-per-view. I thought that Mercedes really showed out in a way that I think people were anticipating, but weren't really sure what they were going to get. And I think that they got an incredible performance. Willow Nightingale really got to step up and show herself as, again, we build this as a triple main event. It was Swerve versus Christian Cage, and it was Anarchy in the Arena. But for this to be billed as one of the main events of the show, and for it to end up, I think, of the 3 main events, really stealing the show, I think was a testament to who Willow Nightingale is as a performer, who she was as TBS champion, and who Mercedes Moné is as who she can be as a challenger in that scenario. The crowd was with it every second of that
Electric.
match.
Yeah.
They were so electric. I actually went out there and, normally during pay-per-views, it's hard for me to find a moment to get into the arena, but for that particular moment, my kids were there and my daughter was there, and I went and sat and watched that match with both my kids, and they were my daughter was just like over the moon, just ecstatic, very disappointed with the finish. But at the end of the day, well, because like at the
you're big Willow supporters in your household.
Well, yeah, and not just that, but then we saw Chris Statlander take her short journey, begin her short journey to the dark side that night, and so
oh my God,
just knowing what that match was able to do, that is my first pick. Talking about the TBS Championship match, Mercedes Moné versus Willow Nightingale.
Was all that written on the back of the card? Because that was a lot of information you just gave us.
No, that's just Will's brain.
This is my brain.
No, you hit a lot of nails on a lot of heads. That was definitely. I was hoping to pull a Willow or Mercedes card because, like, everything you said, pretty spot on. And myself watching through fan goggles, definitely got caught up in the moments there, and I no longer was like analyzing or like studying. I was along for the ride. It was a fantastic match. It was amazing. And kind of, because of the outcome of that, I was kind of happy because then it opened a few doors for me, and I got to get in the squared circle with old Mercedes Moné there.
That's right. That was one of my favorite matches this year, partly for what it meant for me as someone in wrestling. Like, I had previously flown to shows to see Mercedes wrestle because that's what she had sort of meant to me as a woman in wrestling. So to be a part of that in this triple main event at a huge pay-per-view in Vegas, I remember sitting in makeup and telling Salem, like, hey, can you glue like jewels to my head or something? Because I have to be in a match with like Willow and Mercedes, and they both look great. So I kind of need to step it up a little bit. So getting glue out of hair was totally worth being a part of that moment.
Definitely a history-making moment for sure. We, as speaking AEW, we have cultivated a lot of moments that are going to live on in infamy, and I definitely think this is one of those that's going to be a landmark moment that people are going to be talking about for years, decades down the line.
Mm-hmm. Nyla, what did you pull? What's a memory in your lane this morning?
Man, there's a lot, but I do want to address this one because this is a very recent thing that has happened.
Ooh.
It's this. We're gonna get off track just a little bit. We're gonna step our shoe out there. I got a Harley Cameron.
We were on the same page, by the way, because I was gonna go here too.
I got a Harley Cameron. I want to give this woman her flowers. She has been busting her humps and being completely out of her gourd with Harley Graham. What was that about? I had the quote unquote privilege to tag with her on Rampage. She was a little off the cuckoo rocker, but she was a great partner. Definitely had my back, but I think she was a little distracted because I saw her beelining for the concession stand, and I said, "What are you doing?" She said, "I have an idea." She ran to where we sell merch on the foyer, and I saw her abscond with a package. I wasn't sure what it was. Later to find out it was a hologram mask, and she found herself in another match. So kudos to Harley Cameron for stepping up and always stepping out.
Man, yeah, Harley has had a transformative year. I think when she debuted, she was part of QTV and then eventually joining the Outcasts and then just being one of the best people in our locker room. Like, Harley's laugh is so infectious. And it doesn't, right? It doesn't. Like, and then, like, if you ever see her, like, the first time she looks at her makeup, she's like, wowie, wow. She's like a Muppet, like, exclaiming about anything. She's just...
Perfect analogy.
Oh my God. Yeah, it's like, it's so incredible. And it just like, my Wednesday is not complete without hearing Harley's laugh at least 20 times. So like, kudos to her. She had a breakout year in 2024.
Yeah, I mean, look, Harley's one of my favorite people in AEW. I'll never forget her telling me the story of teaching herself to snort when laughing because it's like yeah, I know it's like a thing that most people do on accident, right? But she was like, no, it's like it's a good character trait, and
she wanted to start.
Yeah, and it was like, and
she didn't have enough good character traits. Like, how does this work?
Right, but it's like, well, it's one of those things that just like popped me so hard because again, nobody like intentionally does that except for Harley Cameron. But like, she is such a master of her craft and what she does and everything she brings to it all. And yeah, to watch her go from, again, starting with QTV and moving it. And even then, like, I think a lot of the QTV stuff was way underrated. I know that seeps into 2023, but like that moment in Chicago with her and Bowens is still like an all-timer. And and for her to then make it all the way over to The Outcast. And then, look, this year I got her to do Knifey Spoony on TV. And that was like a thing that I had been pushing for a very long time. Like, literally, her debuting with The Outcast with the knife was literally just to get to the Knifey Spoony moment because I knew no one could deliver it like her. And, like, yeah, no, honestly, Harley Cameron's the best. So I'm so glad we got to talk about her and having a very cool breakout 2024.
Speaking of 2024, I think it's hard to get past this year without talking about one of the most memorable and emotional and just outright cool matches. And I pulled two of these as heroes and heroine cards, but we've got Darby Allin and Sting. And as we all know, Sting had a storied career that he got to finish up at AEW. He and Darby tagged the entire time. Sting retired undefeated. And I think the best part was watching this retirement match. Like, not everyone in wrestling, most people in wrestling, I would say, don't get to choose how they go out. Either it's injury or whatever the issue may be. But like, this was watching this match. Yeah, there we go. Awesome card. Yay. This is, without a doubt in my mind, I'm watching this going, this is Sting's like dream. Like, it's all the different versions of his entrances, including his kids, and like hearing the full on like explanation of how to make them all, like, one of them bleached his freaking hair. The other one was wearing a wig. Like, they committed. It was awesome. But then seeing all of these crazy things happening, and I think it's hard for any of us to not remember vividly in our minds Darby jumping off of that ladder and then just like just the blood seeping from his back after he went through the glass. Like, this was so cool, but also just so emotional and such an incredible moment in AEW's history. And I'm glad we got to give that to Sting.
I'm glad I got to live through that as a fan.
Right?
Again, fan goggles. Are you kidding me? His kid hit one of the cleanest stinger splashes in the corner. Like, I stood up out of my seat. Like, it was such an incredible moment. Not to be a part of it ringside, but you don't even have to, because the energy in that building for that match, the wavelengths throughout the entire venue, it was so incredible to just be there and witness.
Yeah, being there at Greensboro Coliseum. And, it's interesting because, Aubrey, you made a point about how Sting really got to do it his way. But what's so interesting is that Sting is such a giving individual that, like, if he had really gotten to do it his way, he would have gone out there and lost in like 20 seconds and and just
Probably.
given everything to everybody, because that's
Facts.
who he is and that's what he wanted to do. But at the end of the day, like, we had to do this for Sting, and Sting had to have his moment in the sun, and for Revolution to be a celebration of Sting the way it was, from the incredible entrance that the video in the theater that him and Darby have put together, to having Metallica one last time in the entrance theme. And
One last time until All In.
yes. Oh yeah, that's right. Until All In, which was a story in itself. But then Matt and Nick, going in there to reclaim their tag titles and being unsuccessful in doing so. But man, did they take you on a roller coaster in doing it. And it was such a cool night. It was I brought a friend to what ended up being their first wrestling show just so they could see Sting, because they just heard all about it and knew that if I was going to see anything, it needed to be this. And they've been to like 10 wrestling shows since. Like, that show created fans. Like, that is the magic of what we were able to do at Revolution, and for that to be Sting's last night as a professional wrestler. Look, he was my favorite wrestler growing up. I dressed as Sting as a kid for Halloween. Like, it was such a magical moment, and to be a part of that was one of the greatest nights of, I don't know, my life. I hope it was the greatest of Sting's.
Right? You'd hope, right? One quick story before we go to break, because many people may not know this, but that match was officiated by Rick Knox. And then at one point when the Darby spot was discussed, we're like, we need to figure out how to make this as safe as possible so Darby doesn't die. Yes, we try to make sure Darby doesn't die on this show.
We have that discussion weekly, by the way.
Weekly. Oh, 100%. I don't think anyone doesn't believe us when we say that. So the discussion was, how do we have someone else there to help? And the decision was made, let's have Stefan out there so that he can assist the ladder so Darby doesn't fall over before he's supposed to. And at one point I go up to Stefan and say, is this your first pay-per-view main event? And he's like, well, yeah, I guess. I mean, I'm not doing much. I'm like, yeah, but you're kind of doing the most important part.
Quite literally.
Right? So there's a picture of me and him hugging after the main event that I think Rachel Ellering took and then texted to me. And it was just really cool because then Stefan went on to officiate, officially full out his first main event Dynasty, at the next pay-per-view, Dynasty, where Swerve Strickland won the title. So it was this little appetizers to Stefan in the main event. But yeah, that was a cute little thing. And I just remember my friend getting to do something cool that day. So I wanted to give him a shout out. And now we got to go to break. We've got more matches coming up that we're talking about, all of our favorite moments from 2024 here on AEW Unrestricted.
All right, guys, we are back with some more of our favorite moments from this past year, 2024. I've got a bit of a controversial one.
Ooh.
Ready for some controversy?
Always ready for controversy.
I don't know. Should I be? It's you.
Mine is a little bit of a controversial one because of the card it's printed on. The Heroes pack.
Ooh.
Hangman Adam Page.
Oh, there we go.
Oh, yeah. His year.
Yeah, you know where I'm going with this. His 2024 was, woo-hoo, boy. He was a hero to himself when he burned down Swerve Strickland's childhood home. Yeah, sad Swerve. Hold him up.
Yeah, very sad Swerve in this card.
Very sad Swerve.
That's Full Gear too, right? That picture is from Full Gear 2023.
I believe so, yeah.
Because you got the dancers in the background.
And I got a Nana. I got a dancing Nana.
I also have a Nana that's
fan
really
out the flames. You got the holographic one. They got the good one.
I do.
Yeah, he iconic moment, not just for AEW, for wrestling, for the landscape of professional wrestling. In all of my 22 years on this earth, have never seen, don't fact check me. Don't look at my card. Don't read the stat. Don't fact check me. I've never seen anything so insane happen between two wrestlers. That was iconic till the end of time.
Oh, the house thing was crazy because I remember up to that point, Swerve was sort of seen as the bad guy because he had broken into Hangman's house. He had stood over the baby crib, just very memorable shot of all of this happening.
And everyone seen as he was. He objectively was.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Seemed. Yeah. Is maybe not the right word. But then we see Hangman walking through this home that Swerve had just bought, pouring gasoline everywhere, and then just very calmly sitting in a chair, lighting a match and drinking whiskey. And my favorite was seeing the online response of people saying Hangman did nothing wrong. I'm like, there's a pretty good argument here.
I mean, yeah, it is interesting, especially if you're of the blue sky variety, and it's pretty much Hangman country there, where they're like,
I mean, plants is leaves, so
yeah, leaves is plants, yeah. And they very much are of the. I have watched a lot of people on that app justify arson. We're like, it's.
I was going to say, either way, he did commit arson.
Yes.
Correct.
It's fascinating because, 2024 was really a transformative year for those two. In that, we thought we had seen everything that those two had to give each other in 2023, right? And then literally the first show of 2024, we saw Swerve Strickland take on Daniel Garcia. And, we saw Hangman earlier in the episode, and Hangman notes that he's in a foul mood because he was angry about everything that had gone down with the Undisputed Kingdom. And he's like, first person I see, I'm throwing hands with. We're going to fight. And of course, first person he sees is Swerve Strickland. And it was like, oh, guess the story is not over. And everything just picked right back up from there. It was like those two, we did the dealer's choice matches where Swerve picked Toa for Hangman to face, and then Hangman turns around and is like, actually, Swerve, you're going to face RVD. And they ended up having a hardcore match. And they had the various tag matches. They had the time limit draw and the time limit draw, so the two of them kind of switched dispositions. We saw the three-way with Samoa Joe, and in that match, that was really where, we saw Hangman fake an injury.
It was. I know. I can trace this back. It was when Hangman cracked open a nice tall Swerve Weiser and drank and drank some Swerve in the middle of the ring. That's the energy transference. That's when it went downhill for him.
Well, we watched it literally happen at Revolution in that three-way where Hangman, the Swerve, Nana offers Swerve the opportunity to cheat, and Swerve's like, nah, I'm good. I got this. And Hangman, on the other hand, is so desperate for Swerve not to win that he literally tapped out just for Swerve not to win. It's like, I don't even care. As soon as he got his submission, he's just like, I tap out. Swerve loses. Ha, ha, ha. And then when he came back...
the kind of petty I can appreciate.
I appreciate pettiness.
And when he came back, he was cutting promos left and right, consistently saying, I'm going to burn his world to the ground. And he said it 4 or 5 times in promos, and everybody was like, that's a weird thing to say in promos, but, I guess to each their own. And then he literally went and burned the house down when he was trying to tell us all along that was the thing he was going to do. Those two were tied together all through 2024. Swerve even tried to ignore him, and then in the main event of All In, where Bryan Danielson got one of the greatest victories of all time, here came Hangman Adam Page to remind you, no, I'm not done here. What a story those two were able to tell in 2024. And the fact that it spilled over from 2023 tells me that it's not done in 2025.
I don't think it's done by a long shot.
I don't want it to be done.
No.
No, it's a tentpole rivalry of AEW's, and the fact that anytime either of them does anything, people are looking for clues and hey, so how is that tied to Swerve? Or when Swerve does anything, they're like, okay, there was a hint in there about Hangman, wasn't there? So
listen,
people don't want it to be done. I don't think it's ever going to be.
I thought me and Sheeta had a rivalry. We might as well be bickering compared to these two.
I really want to see Swerve just drop a whole album of Hangman diss tracks a la Kendrick Lamar and just I'm trying to think where do you go from arson and needles and cinder blocks? There's just this is my favorite feud of 2024, and for their sake, I hope it ends eventually, but for fans' sake, I hope it never ends.
For their safety's sake, one of them's gonna have to get frozen in carbonite. That's the only way.
Yes,
that's the only way.
But then it's going to end up being a Demolition Man situation where you find out that the other one was frozen too. And then it just end up in the future.
All right, I've got a match I want to talk about. This is actually super big moment for AEW, but also one of my favorite matches of the year. We have Mariah May, who won the AEW Women's World Championship at All In from Toni Storm.
In Christmas colors.
In Christmas colors. Yeah, look at that. They're green and red. For those listening to the podcast, definitely watch the video. I love these two women, and I love everything they did in this year. We talked about Harley, but Mariah had an incredible 2024. Toni had an incredible 2024. I remember someone putting together a graphic of all of the times that Toni Storm competed at Forbidden Door the last few years, and she was a different iteration of herself. And like a fine wine, Toni Storm only got better with age. It was phenomenal. It was incredible. Her commentary, even during matches, making period jokes, it was just so good that I think all of us were waiting for their inevitable match at All In, and then seeing Mariah with this bloody face just overcome Toni and finally get this championship after beating her with a shoe. after winning the Owen Hart Cup tournament. Like, there's just so many layers to this and so many moments. It's hard to pick out a single one. But we talked about Swerve and Hangman being a feud. I think this was my favorite feud in the women's division, was seeing Toni Storm and Mariah May and seeing it kind of culminate so far at All In.
Certainly, not even feud, but just overall story. And I'm glad you mentioned layers, because there were layers upon layers, like a very fine onion, to this story. From pretty much the moment Mariah May debuted, everything was interwoven. This woman had a master plan, and a lot of us were too blind to see it the whole time. And she Scorsese'd us. If you ever watch a Martin Scorsese movie, you don't realize what's going on until the final moments of the movie. Mariah May Scorsese'd us, because we thought, here's this woman coming in, very sweet, very innocent. Some of us were familiar with her time in Stardom, but not everyone, right? And Toni Storm graciously took her under her wing, showing her the ropes, if you will, here in AEW. And lo and behold, she had a nasty mastermind evil plan the entire time. We've been had.
We had been had. I thought
that, again, everything that could be said about the story, I think, has been said. But I think that the match really set an incredible standard. I think those two going out there and having really the crowd in the palm of their hands at All In, and to be able to do that in front of that big of an audience, and to coronate basically, as Nyla mentioned, kind of an unknown. When you really think about Mariah's arrival in AEW, and we thought we knew who she was, and then when she turned after winning the Owen Hart Cup tournament, and suddenly now we're getting to know this new Mariah, and she immediately wins the AEW Women's World Championship. And so it's right in front of our eyes, we're seeing somebody brand new ascend to the top of the women's division. And that was nothing we had ever seen before in AEW. And for that to happen the way it did was just very, very cool. And I think deserves the mention as one of the top moments of 2024.
It was the Tyra Banks, we were rooting for you. What's wrong with you moment. All of us were just we should have known better, but none of us did.
Very much so.
We got one more. Will, what do you got?
All right, I'm going to take it to Aubrey's neck of the woods somewhat, in that we are going to go to Wrestle Dream, where we saw this man, Konosuke Takeshita, become the international champion. And he won what I thought was possibly the greatest three-way match of all time. Yes. Takeshita taking on Ricochet, and then international champion Will Ospreay. Just an incredible match. I remember watching that match with someone who at the time was fairly new to AEW, and that match ended up going. Hold on, I actually want the actual time stamp. Let me see. I'm just curious because it's the only way to make the statement. Let's see if this is accurate. All right, that match went 20 minutes and 42 seconds. I remember 10 minutes into that match, the person next to me goes, "Wow, this is greatest three-way match I've ever seen." And I was like, we are barely halfway through. They've got so much more to go. And I'm pretty sure they went light, if I'm remembering the allotted time they had. And so just thinking about what they were able to do in that match. Again, I have seen a lot of great three-way matches. And, honestly, I'm probably a bigger fan of three-ways than most. I think that there's so much story you can tell when you have three performers and stories between each one. And the fact that they were able to do this, and the biggest story to come out of it was honestly Kyle Fletcher turning on his best friend. He wasn't even in the match. And so to think about how this was a moment that crowned Takeshita as the international champion, but then you got to see Will Ospreay do what he does. Ricochet really got to show out in a way that I think people were hoping for in AEW. And then Kyle Fletcher got to betray his best friend. I think we ended up having what was an all-timer in AEW history, an all-timer for three-ways, and the moment that finally got to see Konosuke Takeshita walk away with gold.
For sure. I got a smug Takeshita right here.
Look at
I'm
that.
kind of proud of my smug. The camera's a little. There we go. Smug Takeshita.
Yeah, smug Takeshita.
No, that match was, like you said, it was everything I wanted and more. Nothing I expected. I thought I was like, oh, this is gonna happen, and then it didn't happen, and then I was like, oh, there's no way that's gonna happen, and then something would happen, and it was just fantastic. Like you said, clamoring, I think, is a great word for what Ricochet. We got to see him on full display in that match, and like you said, the Don Callis family, Kyle Fletcher, the whole nine. It fed a little bit of everything. You know, when you get Thanksgiving dinner, you want a little bit of everything on the plate. That match gave us that little bit of everything. We had the history between Ospreay and Ricochet. Takeshita coming in with something to prove. He had a chip on his shoulder. Someone who had been very deserving of gold for quite some time. Mm-hmm. Finally able to achieve that mountaintop. This chef's kiss. This was a fantastic match.
Quick story about this match. So kind of goes back to Revolution of the same year. We had Konosuke Takeshita versus Will Ospreay, and Will Ospreay's first match as a contracted AEW talent, which I think blew everyone's mind, like most Ospreay matches did this year. And I remember I was on that episode of Dynamite where the graphic came out, but I heard first from my mother, who then texted me the graphic and said, "This is my dream match," because her two favorite wrestlers are Konosuke Takeshita and Will Ospreay. And so she is just loving this match. My mom goes to Wrestle Dream, right? And she's excited to see her favorite wrestlers, Konosuke Takeshita, who is slightly more favorite than Will Ospreay. And she goes, "I don't know about this Ricochet guy." And I'm like, no, Mom, it's okay. Like, if you like these two guys, you'll like him. Turns out my mom doesn't like Ricochet as much because he's not as tall as Takeshita. So I think there's a little ulterior motive there, but whatever. So Takeshita wins. My mom literally stands up out of her chair screaming and just like, yes, and then falls trying to sit back down in her chair because the seats flip up. And I'm just getting reports like, your mom is so excited she's falling over. So even though he's a bit of a jerk and sides with Don Callis, Konosuke Takeshita is someone who is talked about frequently in my family group chat in only positive ways.
Love it. Love it. Yes, and I think we could take one more break here on AEW Unrestricted, but when we come back, we've got even more looking back at some of the greatest matches and moments from 2024. Stay tuned. This is AEW Unrestricted. AEW Unrestricted. It's Aubrey, it's Will, and it's our guest, Nyla Rose, and we are talking about our favorite moments from the year that was 2024. And of course, with this show being brought to you by Upper Deck, we've got to talk about it, being guided along the way with our Upper Deck cards. And this one I've got here is the perfect segue into our next match, because I want to talk about a man who held on and held down the TNT Championship throughout 2024. We actually had him on this show as TNT champion. But I want to talk about the rated R superstar, Adam Copeland. He made his debut at the end of 2023 at Wrestle Dream and really just became a part of all things AEW. Almost at every level. The way he was working Dynamite, Collision, pay-per-view, there was the way you'd see him sticking around to the end of every show and talking to every talent the way he did. Adam Copeland really made himself a part of AEW. And I think when you talk about the matches that Adam Copeland was able to put on throughout the year, because I think he had something to prove. And I think he wanted to prove it as TNT champion. But I actually want to talk about the match where he won the TNT Championship.
Before you get into that, can I? You said something that resonated with me. I don't necessarily think it was just something to prove. This man has such passion and love for this business and everything we do, and I think that coupled with that, I just wanted to say that. Before it escapes me. But
when I say something to prove, I simply mean the fact that I think for the career he's had, Adam Copeland could have very well have rode off into the sunset multiple times. And yet, I think for him to be able to perform at the level he's performed this year, or last year.
Non-stop.
Yeah, nonstop.
Every week.
Yes. And I think that, he proved that he's still Adam Copeland. He's still got a lot left, and he's still got a lot to go. But I want to talk about, so this man, I think, will be eternally tied to his former best friend, Christian Cage. I think that it's almost inevitable that these two probably will end up on the same side again one day, and it'll come via their families just going, look, you guys need to make up at this point. But but thinking about the fact that it came to a head in an I Quit match, Toronto, Canada, at the Coca-Cola Coliseum, we saw Adam Copeland take on Christian Cage, the TNT Championship match, a match that was so big that it literally spilled over into Rampage. That we literally had Dynamite back-to-back with Rampage, and Dynamite ends. If you just watch Dynamite, you didn't see the end of that match. And then all of a sudden you open Rampage and you're like, oh, they're still going. This was just, these two have had some incredible matches with each other over the years, really going back to like some of the first matches they've ever had with each other 25 years ago. But for them to be able to go out there and do this with each other at this stage in Toronto, Canada, where it all started for the two of them, Christian Cage walking into his hometown with the loudest boos I think I've ever heard for anybody in their own hometown.
Yeah, that's impressive.
And the only way someone can pull that off is if they're against an even bigger hometown star in Adam Copeland, who walked in to a hero's welcome in Toronto. That was an incredible night. I want to say it was March 20th?
Sure.
Seems about right. Sure. It was the middle of March sometime.
Whatever you say.
And it was such a moment. It was such a great night for the two of them. Adam Copeland, of course, came up. I don't want to say came up short, because he did win the TNT Championship at World's End the previous year, and then Cage stole it right back.
I forgot about that. I'm so mad now.
And so for Copeland to this time get to win the title and look around, there's no shenanigans this time. There's nothing that got to take his moment away from him, and he got to go full speed ahead with the TNT Championship. I think that's a moment that lives in Dynamite's history and was one of the top ones of 2024.
And a little bit of Rampages.
A little bit of Rampages.
Yes, a little bit of Rampage.
Adam Copeland basically came in and didn't need to be everybody's dad, but sort of became everybody's dad, where he is just caring and wants to see the best for everyone. And I constantly see him talking to younger talent backstage, like just giving them advice, watching their matches, doing whatever it is he needs. Like he's giving advice to referees, he's giving advice to everybody. And it's so great because he's just this wealth of knowledge. And he's just one of those guys that I didn't realize how happy I was at the time when he got signed, because not only does he make our company better, he makes our locker room better.
Yeah.
And those people are very, very hard to come by. Like, you could be, for all that he's done, he doesn't owe that to anybody, but he makes it a point to be as helpful as possible. And just to kind of comment on the match in Toronto, it could not have been more perfect that Christian had a Boston Bruins jersey at the same time that Adam Copeland put a Toronto Maple Leafs jersey on before they did the hockey fight on the outside. As a hockey fan myself, I was losing my mind. So I just wanted to say that about Copeland before.
That may have been my favorite moment of the match, but no, he has been a ray of sunshine in the back. Like you said, talking to everybody, giving advice, and never shying anybody away. He's always super approachable, and it's not all sugar, it's not all like, hey, he's gonna tell you what you want to hear. He's gonna give it to you straight, so you can trust his word, his vision, his ideas. He's just fantastic to have, and I miss him. I do miss him. I miss talking to him, even not about wrestling stuff, just a genuine guy. But my question, this big question, and Will's background got prompted me. When he returns, do we think he's going to finish his unfinished business with the TNT Championship, or is he going to have his sights set on a bigger prize in the AEW World Championship?
Ooh, I don't know, but I know that man has a flannel collection that rivals mine. So,
well, he promised we'd go motorcycle riding, so I'm waiting for that day.
Oh, I didn't know he was handing out motorcycle rides. That's awesome.
Well, no, we're gonna ride together. Him on his and mine on mine.
Can I ride on the back of yours? Do you have a helmet?
Heck yeah!
Yes, let's do it. Okay. I wanted to make sure that we talk about one of the biggest storylines in AEW this year was the Blackpool Combat Club turning on Bryan Danielson.
Woo!
And becoming the Death Riders and all of the things that happened. We saw Jon Moxley become a champion at WrestleDream after nearly suffocating Bryan Danielson. We saw terrible, terrible people turn on their friends after a long, long time. Like Wheeler Yuta, I did not know he had the capacity to be evil, but he is evil.
I'm glad you brought that in. I was like, he looks so happy. A sweet little boy on this card. He's going to get all the Christmas presents.
Where did we go wrong?
You get no Christmas presents, Wheeler Yuta. None for you. And this tasty trollop, I don't even know who this is anymore.
Right? You used to tag with Marina. What happened?
I don't know who this person is. She's walking around, kicking the holy bejesus out of people's chests, throwing grown adults through walls. I don't know who you are.
I figured you would have used that as an in, like, hey, Marina.
She doesn't return my calls.
If the Death Riders are hiring.
You think I didn't try? She doesn't return my calls. I don't even like talking on the phone. I called her. She didn't even answer. Anyways, I digress.
The Death Riders
over here.
Yeah. The Death Riders was definitely transformative throughout the entire latter part of 2024. When you really think about Bryan Danielson's rise, especially in winning the Owen, winning in the main event of All In, and having what we hoped and thought was going to be a long, historic title reign with the AEW World Championship, and instead it was cut short when the Death Riders showed their true colors, turned their backs on Bryan Danielson, attempted to suffocate the man, and then took his world championship and cut his full-time career short. And you know, we've seen it all culminate a couple of times after that, in people trying to stand up to the Death Riders. But when you just look at the power behind that group, they're going to be on top for a very, very long time.
Oh,
I'm like scared.
I was looking. I had some Top Flight around here somewhere. I was gonna mention they actually stepped up. They were one of the groups that actually try to step up and stand up for AEW to Moxley and his cronies. I'm gonna call them cronies.
It's a good word.
The Dark Order. They tried to stand up to those guys, but yeah, they're proving just a little bit too much. And part of that psychological warfare. Like, if these guys turned on their brother in arms, as they've said so many times, as their friend, they turned on Bryan Danielson, and they with ease. With ease and a plastic bag, they tried to take him out. They turned on him. Nobody is safe.
No, it's a weird. It's hard because AEW is such this wonderful place, but when Moxley and his crew are around, you're kind of on eggshells a little bit because you're not quite sure what's going to happen or who their next victim is or who Marina's going to decide she's going to come up and just choke as she silently stares at the camera into your soul the entire time.
And I'm just curious what plastic bags in Chicago cost, because I know living in Denver.
That's where you go with this.
Well, I was just thinking, like you said, they did it with ease, but I'm like, they spent some money on those bags, or was this like? Did this come easy? Because I know
that's predetermined effort. They put the financial burden of murder, attempted murder. Like they wanted to see this through.
Yeah.
2024, the year of attempted murder.
Arson
and murder. Yeah.
Asphyxiation.
All that happened in the same week, by the way.
I know. Like, I'm glad we split up the pay-per-views a little bit this year because it was like, okay, cool. We all got a little breather. We got to celebrate Bryan Danielson for a bit. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh God, what happened at all?
Yeah, no, wait. What is going on? Because just like last week, Darby tried vehicular homicide.
Yep.
We need a Scooby-Doo unit of AEW is what we need. Somebody to investigate these crimes.
Oh my God. I now want to see someone talk to Jeff Jones. We need to see that show at least on socials.
Well, Nyla, what's your pick?
My pick, one of my favorite matches from the later half of the year, I would say Summer On, was any Eddie Kingston match.
You're a bitch.
any single one of them.
Oh,
because he didn't have one. No, I'm kidding. He's gonna murder me when he sees this and he hears it. No, Eddie is dearly missed, and I bring him up for a reason. I do bring him up for a reason. This man has bad blood with Claudio, with Mox, and I think he is one of the irons in the fire that AEW desperately needs to come back and help out some of the others that have been standing up to the Death Riders. I think Eddie is going to be one of the guys that gets the job done. So get well, rest up, hurry the heck back so that I can genuinely say some of your matches were some of my favorite from 2025.
I mean, like, if there's anyone that Eddie Kingston hates more, it's Claudio Castagnoli. So this just sort of writes itself.
My point exactly.
There we go. Man, there was so much in store for 2024 that we didn't even talk about. We had the debut of Deonna Purrazzo. We had the Learning Tree form. We had Big Bill and Brian Keith join up with Chris Jericho.
I got some of them guys.
Right. We have the Young Bucks, the EVPs. They're just like with Okada joining them. There was so much stuff that happened in 2024, and I'm so excited for what it means for 2025.
Yeah, and I really did want to talk about, because I mentioned I would give it a shout, but Chris Statlander, with her Technique Jones over here.
Technique
we got
Jones!
to talk about we had to talk about the fact that match that she had at Full Gear with Mercedes Moné was just incredible. I thought that, again, you talk about somebody with something to prove in Mercedes and leaving her then heavy behind at the time and going out there and having that match with Chris Statlander. Just an incredible match. And I think Chris Statlander proved to the world that Chris is back. Like we saw Dark Side of Chris for a little bit, but I think we now know who Chris Statlander eternally is.
Nyla, what do you got?
I got two. I got two selfish moments here. I just opened up a fresh pack of cards. I only got one. I got Brother Zay. I only got Zaya Cassidy here. But him and Mark Quinn winning the tag team championships.
5 years in the making.
For me, was one of the most emotional moments because these guys were some of the day ones along with myself. So for me to witness them finally get their moment, I cried like Marina Shafir kicked me in the chest. I cried so hard, and I was so happy for those guys to actually get that moment, especially coming on the heels of having it in their grasp at Wrestle Dream and just have it ripped away. But they bounced back as they do. They hit the silly string. What's it called? The slingshot? The flippy dippy that they do. I don't know their moves. But they hit that, they bounced back, and they got the championships. And then selfishly, this hussy, I got to be in the ring with her this year a few times. That made me happy. That was one of my favorite moments because
Saraya, for those without video.
Saraya, yeah, sorry. Yes. I forgot it's not just video. Not just video, Saraya. Watching her as a fan coming up and finally getting to share the ring with her, Saraya, again, definitely was a bucket list moment that I really wanted to check off my list. So getting to do that for me, and I realize this is me just checking it off for me, but it's my year, my favorite moments, and that was one of them.
Hey,
deal with it.
You're a co-host. You get to come in here and talk about whatever you want to talk about. So you got to get your shit in, as we say in wrestling.
That's right.
Well,
this was
either way-
absolutely phenomenal.
Yes, this
Will.
was a phenomenal episode. It's been a phenomenal year. And
Yes.
Nyla, you were a phenomenal guest to have here on this show. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, and thank you for these cards. Thank you,
I know,
Upper
right?
Deck. These cards are phenomenal.
They are.
Nyla, by the way, is a fantastic follow on social media. I was able to talk
Yes.
Nyla finally into getting a Blue Sky account, and she's been great there. If you aren't following her already, do so at Nyla Rose Beast. AEW Unrestricted is sponsored in part by Upper Deck. Collect your favorite wrestlers in 2024, Upper Deck AEW, and start your trading card collection today. Unwrap, autograph, memorabilia, and premium tech inserts. Visit upperdeck.com to learn more. You can listen to and follow this podcast, AEW Unrestricted, at Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts, and check out the video episodes on our YouTube channel at AEW Unrestricted. Hit that subscribe button so you never miss an episode. And hit it. Are you an AEW insider? Get early access to ticket pre-sales, special merchandise offers, and more straight to your inbox. Sign up today at AEWTIX.com. And don't forget AEW Dynamite on TBS Wednesdays at 8 p.m. AEW Collision live every Saturday on TNT. ROH streams every Thursday on Honor Club. I'm Will Washington. She's Aubrey Edwards. We'll see you next time. Have a great day. Peace.
Yay!